love the Lord and then we raising all kind of hell in the place? How we saying that we love the Lord and then we cursing in one breath? How we say we love the Lord and you can't feed your neighbor? How you say you love the Lord when somebody asks you for a nickel or dime, you can't give it to them and you have it? See, this is what we got to come out of. God says time, now is the time. We got to come out of where we are at. And he's saying, just like in the churches, we walk around and we act like we're so holier than thou. Like we've been saved and sanctified all our lives. And God is saying, there go a young girl just walked in the church. And she's pregnant. But yet we'll talk about her. We'll scandalize her name. And then you forgot when you were pregnant, when you was at that age. Or a young man walks in the church with his pants hung down. He been in prison. But you forgot that God allowed you only by his mercy and his grace that you wasn't in jail.
That's it.
But we forget where we came from. And God said, I'm calling this time that we have to go back and remember those things. Because our job is to help pick one another up.
That's it.
And then when we bring them into church, we got to help make them well. And then they send them back out. And then they bring somebody back else in.
That's it.
We are continually staying sick ourselves.
Yes.
God says time out.
Jesus.
He said it's time to rise up this morning.
That's it.
Time to come into that full calling in which he called you out this morning. Then he says in number 4, there is one body and one spirit, just as there is one hope that belongs to the calling you receive. There is one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. One God and the Father of us all, who is above all. So how do we look down on anybody? Because it's only by God's grace and his mercy that he allowed us to be where we are today. And I tell you this, when God said, when you first was called, you was on milk.
Come on.
And he's saying now that you no longer should be on milk. Because some of us stay on the bottle too long.
Come on.
And you know when you stay on a baby, stay on the bottle too long, his teeth start to decay.
Come on.
And he's not growing properly the way he's supposed to grow.
That.
So when we get to where we get off of that milk, that means we're climbing up. And God's saying, this morning I'm requiring you not to stay where you are, but to get up and move. We got to move, people. We got to get our lives in order. Because like she said earlier, we don't know when God going to call us home. And I don't know about you, but I want to be ready. I want to be ready when he comes. Because we don't get a second chance. Our chance is right here. And when God opened that book, but the book is open right now, and he's writing every day the things that we do. And we think that because nobody else sees us, or when we're behind closed doors, we can do anything.
Come on, teach
me. Only the walls could talk.
Come on.
A lot of us will be in trouble.
Jesus.
We really would. Because we serve an awesome God. And we always say, like I said earlier, God knows our heart. He really does. He knows everything about us. He knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. So he knows us. He knows every strand of hair on your head. And how many people you know can count hair?
Come on.
Nobody in this world that I know of. But God is an awesome God. And he's a mighty good God. And he's telling us this morning, it's time. So, and he said, grace, God's unmerited favor was given to each of us individually in verse 7. Not undiscriminately, but in different ways. He said, in proportion to the measure of Christ's rich and bounteous gift. Therefore it is said, when he ascended on high, he led the captivity free. He led a train, vanished foes, and he bestowed gifts on men. And we always, but he ascended. Now what can this he ascended mean? But that he had previously descended from the heights of heaven into the depths. That means God, when he went down, when he died on that cross at Calvary, he went down to the depths of hell because he had to conquer death. And when he conquered death, he came up. And I'm thankful. When he came up, those saints that didn't know him at the time. Hallelujah. When he came up with all power in his hand. And when he came up, he took the stains of death off of us. He took problems with our pain away. He took problems with our things that were going on in our mind. He took that away. He took deliverance away. So we should be healed today. We should be walking in healing and not sick every day of our lives. So we got to start praying. God says, time out. In verse 10 and in verse 11, he said, and his gifts were varied. He says, He himself appointed and gave